Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Saturday, December 17th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we have another guest joining us here today on the show. All of our guests have been awesome. They've been beauties, great guests, great insight, funny characters, entertaining, insightful, great stories. And I can just tell, talking a few minutes with our guest before the show, we've got another good one joining us here today. Brett Pepler joining us on the show today. Brett, what's going on? Thanks for joining us here on the Ice Guys show.
Hey, how you boys doing today? Thanks a lot for having me on board. Looks like it's going to be a pretty legit Saturday here.
Yeah, no shortage of things to watch as a sports fan or bet on as a sports bettor. You've only got a 13-game NHL slate, a full NBA slate, a full college basketball slate, college football bowl games morning, noon, and night, and 3 NFL games today. Other than that, not much going on here on this Saturday in the sports and the sports betting world. Brett, let's talk about your hockey playing days that you experienced, and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I played professional, started in 2005. I was 20 years old, came out of junior A in Canada and went into the UHL, played in Missouri, Richmond, Virginia, played there, and then went to the SP, the Southern Professional Hockey League, played in Florida, played in Knoxville, played in Louisiana for quite a bit of time, and then came back to Canada and played a little bit of senior hockey in the ranks in Canada, and that was about it, man. It was I retired a couple of years ago, but it was a good run. Had some fun, and definitely had quite a few good stories.
No doubt. And you're a Sasky boy as well, right? Saskatchewan.
Sasky, man. Sasky. The 1 year I played in Louisiana, our coach was Kevin Kaminsky. He played in the NHL for a lot of years with Washington.
Yep.
He was our coach that year, and we had 12 Saskatchewan guys out of an 18-man roster, plus him, who is from Saskatchewan as well.
Wow.
So it was pretty wild. Off ice, anyways.
So talk about because I'm guessing there's a little bit of difference between Saskatchewan and Louisiana. Talk about your time that you spent there, and did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was definitely. We had a great group of guys. We lived just outside New Orleans, Lafayette, Louisiana. We were in the minors playing hockey, but we lived on campus, University of Louisiana, so that was it's pretty dangerous living there, right close to all the bars and the frat houses. But no, it was good. The weather was obviously pretty different. No snow down there. Great food. The people were amazing, and we just had a good group of guys, and it was definitely a great time. I need to write a book here soon before I forget all these stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Everybody's got a book these days. Everybody, when they're finished playing or they're finished doing something big in their lives, let's write a book about it. It seems like everybody's got that going these days. So I figure everybody's got it going. Why not Brett Pepler as well? Get that book going.
Hey,
Talk to your
either
agent
you write a book or go bankrupt.
All right.
Write a book.
Exactly.
Write a book.
Yeah. Or sometimes on some days that go Ori, bet my picks. You can also go bankrupt that.
Yeah. I checked them out, man. They look pretty legit. So I'll follow you.
And I'll say this: the NFL, it's been steady across the board. NBA's pissed me off, but every other sport we're in profit right now except for NBA. And if you've got 4 out of your 5 sports that you're doing at this time of year, you're plus money. That's a good thing. But definitely, and Alex too. Alex, football's been terrific for you.
I've been on a hot run. I'm really kind of bummed out that college football and NFL are winding down because I finally got into a hot run, and all of a sudden, here we are, it's December. So nice to end on a nice note. But that's the thing about this every day. We do more than just hockey. I'll be jumping in basketball too, and football, UFC. We try to do a little bit more of that in 2023. So. It's a grind, but like I said, if you can be profitable in most of your sports in a given season, you're doing all right.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's also like with UFC, you got to find the fights that don't have moron judges. basically scoring them. We've had some issues with that lately, but that's another story. Brett, what are you doing these days post hockey? I know you're doing some stuff with training right now, players. So talk about that.
What I do now is I have my own business. It's called Squirrely Athletics. Squirrely with one L, not two. I'm sure you get a little squirrely Saturday nights after the podcast is over. You and Alex probably hit up the pub in Oakville there. But no, that's my business, Squirrely Athletics. I provide, we do a lot of on ice camps. We go all over US and Canada. We're open to going anywhere. Specialize in skills, power skating on ice, and then we do a lot of off ice stuff. We do workouts, recovery, mobility workouts, stuff like that. I have a lot of online training programs that I do. We work with the Teachables website. We do just an in-season program for. I mostly do hockey players, so we do a lot of in-season workout programs for hockey players, some stick handling stuff, and then I also train with some agencies via Zoom. So trying to keep busy here post hockey career and stay out of trouble, especially now. I live very close to Miami, so if I venture down there, I could be gone for a couple of days, and that is trouble. So I try to stay busy here.
You know what they always say: stay busy or get in trouble. That's always what
definitely.
One or the other.
Very easy to get in trouble down here.
No doubt. Yeah, and apparently the Florida people they're their own breed. They're their own group.
Oh man.
Yes.
Sometimes like they're on another planet.
Yeah. Hey, anything fucking goes down here, boys. Anything. Okay, I've been down here for about 8 months, and I don't think I've ever seen one person signal. So if you're driving, you got to be locked right in, or else anything goes. They call it lawless down here.
Yeah.
I've seen that firsthand. I was in an Uber. I was down in Miami 2 years ago for a Pub Sports radio trip. We were in the Uber, and the Uber guy says, you'll just have people just cut you off. They won't even signal. Yeah. They won't even, they won't put their signal on. They won't put their hand up like, hey, I'm trying to get in here. No, they'll just cut you right off.
That sounds a lot like Chicago. I'm here in Chicago for the month, and that sounds vaguely familiar. So
the traffic is a lot different than Saskatchewan. There's nobody riding horses. It's a little bit busier down here, but once you get used to it, it's all good, man. I'm very blessed to be down here. I enjoy it, but it is a different world.
And make no mistake, you might see some horses randomly pop up at
you never know.
You never know.
Like I said, anything goes. You never know what you're going to see on a daily basis.
Yeah.
There you go. Pumping. Yeah. Bring out that old May song, Horse and Carriage. Yeah. That's basically how they're, that's basically how they're rolling. Things. Yeah. That's basically how they're rolling in Saskatchewan. All right. We're going to break down the Saturday NHL slate. It's a huge card today, 13 games in just a second. But first, Brett, just some overall thoughts on the league, certain teams, certain players. What stuck out to you so far through the first 2 months of the season?
Well, obviously, there's a couple teams that are surprising this year. You got the Devils. They're on a run. Then there's some no surprises like Boston. Toronto's obviously another President's Cup run kind of team in the regular season. See how they do in the playoffs. It's pretty good. Well balanced. A lot of teams are pretty consistent. Edmonton's decent. Florida here. I've been in Florida watching them last year, like I was talking to you about, to this year. Like they got a lot of older guys. I don't know what's going on with their cap or their GM. Like they got a few guys that should probably be in the American League, but they're kind of hit or miss. It's anybody's league this year. First time, I'm a huge, whatever, you can judge me. I'm a very big Sidney Crosby fan. I haven't watched him at all in his whole career till 2 nights ago. He still looks very deadly out there. Him and Malkin are good. So Pittsburgh, you never know. They could be a wagon. Chris Letang just had a stroke and he sniped one. Like he was back 2 nights ago.
He's unbelievable. And he's playing 20 fucking minutes a night, 25 minutes a night. Like nothing happened. I didn't just have a stroke. I just didn't have a life-threatening experience. I'm right back out there days later and I'm playing a bunch of minutes and I'm scoring goals.
Yeah, it's like, how is he doing that? It's like fucking Tua here. He got 2 life-threatening concussions and now he's fucking back slinging here. Like, how do you do that? They must have some special shit that we don't know about or some kind of stuff. Like, I wouldn't be coming back for 2 years after that kind of punishment, but that's another subject. I don't know, man. Players, obviously that Robertson from Dallas, he's
Yeah.
having a run. It's nice to see once in a while some guys come out of the woodworks. He's having a good year. Who else? There's a couple other guys that are having good seasons here, like the
Bo
one guy,
Horvat out of
man.
nowhere.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the one guy, Tage Thompson. Is that
Yeah.
his name,
Yeah.
from Buffalo,
Yes.
man?
Yep.
He's an absolute beast, and he's sniping. He's playing the left point as a right-handed shot on Buffalo's PP, and he's just letting fucking cannons go, man. And he's having a good season. You know, the story behind him, I don't know him or anything like that, but I was just been reading up on it. His wife has cancer, so he's battling through that,
Yeah.
which is obviously prayers to him. But, you know, to have a season like he's having, he must be motivated. But it's nice to see guys like that, you know, having a good campaign. And other than that, Winnipeg's having a pretty good year. Who are your guys' teams?
Dallas is one of them, and how you talked about Jason Richardson.
Yeah.
That's a team that I just really and they're fun to watch too.
Yeah.
When they've got everything rolling, they got a great offense. Jake Ottinger, like I said, still trying to find his footing, but he's arguably in the top 5 already for me.
Yeah.
Top goalies in the league. When he's on and he has his A game, it's hard to beat him. It's hard to get at least even one goal past him. So that's a fun team to watch. I think they're going to make a lot of noise. But can't count out Tampa Bay. And I said at the beginning of the year, Tampa was going to start off slow after playing so much big-time hockey, but eventually they come roaring back, and that's exactly what we've been seeing from them in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
You can never discount Tampa. Yeah, and the amazing thing, too, is 3 years in a row in the Stanley Cup final. We've talked about this a lot, Alex and I, on this show. At some point, don't you hit a wall? Don't you, run out of gas? Don't you get, worn down? And maybe it's going to happen in this year's playoffs. Maybe it's not. Maybe you mentioned how, Brett, that Tua's come back from concussions. Chris Letang comes back quickly from a stroke. Maybe your rest and recovery and all the medical and the advancements to people's health to keep them in great shape and great physical condition. It allows you to have a run like Tampa, where you've played deep into the playoffs 3 years in a row in the Stanley Cup final. How the hell do you still have the energy and the stamina to play at such a high level?
Like, your body is absolutely mangled after not only a regular season, but then you play the playoffs, and how hard the playoffs are compared to the regular season. You do that, like you said, 3 years in a row, you win 2, you lose 1. Mentally, you're fucking right out of it, because that's all you're thinking is hockey, hockey, hockey. Like, you do need a break, but somehow they're keeping together. Stammer has the boys on a good program down there, and just seeing the advancements. Like, I don't play anymore, but I still play a lot of whatever men's league workout, all that kind of stuff. But just seeing like the advancements in recovery, especially down here in a hotbed of stuff, just advancements, the money there is down in this Miami area, like how you recover. Maybe, they got their stuff going, and maybe it's not affecting them, but you'd think it has to. Like, you'd almost think they'd have to flunk out a year on purpose just so they can have a normal summer. Because, like, as a hockey guy, you're not taking too much time off. You're taking maybe a month off max, and then you're getting back at it. So it's crazy. Good for them for doing it. But that has to be tough on the body and the mind.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a quote that I remember from Isaiah Thomas when he's talking. It was the 30 for 30 about the bad boys, Detroit Pistons. And he talked about, he says, when they lost to the Bulls finally in 91, they said, we ran out of steam. He said, we kept playing in the playoffs and making these deep runs year after year after year. He said, just our legs just gave up. And if you look at the dynasties over the years, the Blackhawks, the Kings, the Penguins, I mean, they've been a team that's been able to kind of buck the trend a bit and stay afloat throughout all these years. But with the Kings and Hawks, when things finally started to wind down for them, they crashed fast and in a hurry. And I know a lot of people are kind of waiting for that with Tampa Bay. I don't think that's going to happen this year, but in due time, we will see, a complete bottoming out at some point from this Tampa Bay team. I really don't think they're going to be able to keep this pace really that long. But if they know how to temper their schedule, and that's the thing that the Penguins have done for years, okay, we don't need to start off 13-0. Let's just make sure that we're healthy and ready once the calendar changes over to March and April and forward, and then be ready for the postseason. I think Tampa Bay is taking more of that approach now than just trying to bulldoze. Look what happened the year they had, the best record in the league, won the President's Trophy. They get swept out by Columbus. I think they learned a lot from that core group, and even you can go as far back as when they lost in 2015. A lot of these core guys were there with that team as well. Those experiences helped them get to the point where they could win back-to-back cups, make the finals 3 straight years. And I think they've kind of adapted to the changes in the league and the changes within themselves as that core group gets older.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a race, and it's longevity. And I bet basically now all you need to do is just get yourself into the playoffs. Doesn't matter your seed or whatever. Like obviously you want to have home ice advantage, but if not, it's not a big deal. Get yourself in there, book a ticket, then roll the dice. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, get a ticket into the dance. Doesn't matter if you're in the front row or the back row. Just get in there because you're going to end up having a chance. I got to ask because we got my good friend down in Florida. I do shows with him on another channel, Big Ragu. He's in the channel. This is a veteran sports bettor. You're talking about someone that's been doing it for decades. He's been at it a long time. He's in Florida. I've got to ask you, since you're there now, Brett, this Lightning versus Panthers rivalry, is it starting to really gather itself in terms of the fan bases back and forth with one another? And we know the teams don't like one another. Are the fan bases now starting to get, reinvigorated in terms of their interest and enthusiasm for their teams? Because you've got Tampa's good, Florida now is good, and you've got a real legit rivalry going on with the Lightning and the Panthers.
Definitely. I think hockey's coming a long way, and it has come a long way here. So, especially in the playoffs last year, the Panthers having such a good team, they beat Washington in the first round, and then they came here to play Tampa round 2. I went to that game, and Tampa came in and just shut them out. All their big boys, Barkov and their top guns. Tampa came in, played a greasy style, pumped 2, beat them 2-1, and ended up sweeping them, and that was it for that. But that hurt a lot of Panther fans. The Tampa fans are definitely have the upper hand right now, and there definitely is a rivalry in the arena, stuff like that. I know a lot of people down here, they go up to Tampa when that game's on in Tampa, the Panthers and the Lightning. So it's good. It's good for hockey. The game is growing. It's crazy to see how it's growing down in a non-hockey market like this, like South Florida, Miami, all the, other sports are really huge down here, but hockey's definitely moving in, and the Lightning Panthers rivalry is definitely helping it out.
What were the fans' reaction to the whole story within that series where after Florida goes down 3-0, apparently they spent all night in a Tampa strip club, and that ended up being kind of curtains for them. And it's funny, we talked about on the show in game 2, I made 2 bets. I liked Florida first period puck line, and I liked Tampa to sweep the series. And I said, if they don't get out of that first period with the lead, they're going to get swept. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Cashed a plus 700 ticket on that. But that storyline, I mean, we caught wind of it as we were on air. Yep. And pretty much I loaded up on Tampa in game 4. And then there was also a goal that ended up getting called back that would have given Tampa a lead in the middle of that game. So I'm sure, stories like that always add to the, rivalries in any sport. But I'm just kind of curious to know, a lot of people on Twitter had responses for it. What was the kind of, the in-state feeling of hearing that story?
Well, first of all, if you're going to do that, I'm not going to say I don't disagree with that. If you're going to do that, do that. You're down 3-0 against the Stanley Cup champs. Got to fucking roll the dice, turning of the ship party. I've had a few of those,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And where they've worked out, you go out, you get absolutely buckled, but somehow you pull yourself together. No one finds out. You come back, you win a greasy game because you're playing guilty, and then just the hockey gods put it together, and then you win the series. But for the Panthers there, like if you're going to do that, you have to make sure no one sees you, go to the strip club.
Yeah.
No, go to the strip club, lock the fucking door, stay in there, no fucking whatever you need to do, and then it is what it is, but that was obviously, like you guys are saying, they heard about it. I think that's probably a reason a few of those guys got shipped out of there along with the coach. People are just like, what were they doing? What were they thinking? They were down 3-0 to Tampa.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need that shit. But, I know down here in Fort Lauderdale, a lot of the boys go out to the strip clubs here. I'm sure the strippers aren't ugly down here.
Oh,
But
sure.
that's what you need to do once in a while when you're down. You got to try to switch things up. But a big mistake on their part for getting caught doing that. Whoever blew that should be in deep shit. But yeah, I think people are just saying, like what's going on, and they were probably forced to fire the coach Brunette there and probably get Huberdeau out of there and Uyghur and change it up. But as we were talking a couple days ago, it doesn't seem like it's working. The Panther Calgary switch there, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. You got to be a little more discreet if you're going to pull that card out.
If they had gone to a club where the dancers knew about the power play, maybe that could have helped them out and they could have got back in that series. But yeah, they didn't, clearly.
That's a good point you mentioned about Andrew Brunette. I always assumed he got fired because, look, this was a President's Trophy winning hockey team that got bounced in the second round. I thought that was part of it, and it didn't look impressive in barely getting past Washington, by the way, in the first round. And I thought the power play being so shit. And it was embarrassing how bad and pathetic the Panthers' power play was. I thought that was why he got fired, but maybe something to it with this little incident too. They weren't happy that this became public light, and they say, "Hey, you're the coach. You've got to fucking keep a lid on these damn things that are happening with your hockey team." And that was it.
Yeah, it's hard to say. You don't know, but I'd say it had something to do with that. But it is what it is. Obviously, if you're doing that, you're letting the boys go. You're a player's coach. The boys should have responded. But in the end, like the game I seen, Tampa was just sending one forechecker in, hammering the piss out of them, and then as soon as the Panthers would cough it up, they were maximizing their chances, winning 2-1 games, stuff like that. And like we were saying before, you need to lose before you win. And like Tampa, when they got swept by Columbus there, they lost a few times, and all of a sudden, boom, they went on a run, won 2 cups. I think the same thing is going to happen with the Leafs. The Leafs have had some absolute heartbreaks, and you look last year, they lost in 7 to Tampa, and no one really challenged Tampa until they got to the Cup final and ended up losing to Colorado. But you need to lose before you can win, and if you have a good organization, good players, good coaching staff, you definitely learn from those incidents, and it makes your team stronger. So, that's what happened with Tampa. Maybe that's what's going to happen with the Panthers. Who knows? Hard to say. I think that's what's going to happen with the Leafs. If not, there's going to be absolute fucking meltdown in Toronto, but we'll see, I guess.
Hey, they melt down after losing to like Arizona 2-1 in November. Never it could, and of course they've melted down a bunch the fan base with these playoff flops. And every year we say this is different. This is different. Yeah, we got to see it at some point before we believe it. Although the way they lost 2 years ago to Montreal in the first round, that was embarrassing. They went out with a fucking disgraceful effort. They went down, and it was too soft. They had no pushback. They were outplayed and dominated by Montreal that barely got into the playoffs in a Game 7 at home. Whereas at least when they lost to Tampa Bay, they went down on their sword. They basically they gave it their all. It was a hard effort. They lost tight games, close games, good enough to win that series, just didn't get over the hump. You said teams have to learn how to lose before they learn how to win. In the Leafs case, learn how to lose for years, for decades, and maybe even for centuries at this point, because it's been a long drought for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
All right. They go ahead. Yeah. They look like they're on a run this year, so who knows?
Yeah.
Still pretty early, though, but yeah, they
look
good right now.
The thing is now this is the team defense. We'll get to them when we talk Toronto, Washington. But yeah, this is the best team defense I've seen from them. It's going to be a question of can they bring that in the playoffs when it matters the most. All right, let us get into the Saturday slate. We got 13 games. I'll try to be a little bit quicker with my own analysis so that we can keep this show within 90 minutes at the max. Ottawa and Detroit. We've got Ottawa minus 115, road favorites here, 6 being the total in this game. There are a lot of injury concerns here for Detroit if you look at their lineup going into this game. Dylan Larkin is obviously day-to-day. That is a huge loss potentially. Game time decision, Derek Lalonde says, with a hand injury. He did practice Friday, but he was in a non-contact jersey. Obviously would be missed if he doesn't play. It would be his second straight game out of the lineup. And without him against Minnesota, we see they lose 4-1. They only score 1 goal. Philip Roenick, who's been a revelation for them on the blue line this year, he's day-to-day as well with a concussion. We'll see if he's able to suit up. He got rocked by Ryan Reeves in the game Wednesday night against the Minnesota Wild, so he may not play. He's got 24 points on the season. He's been great from the back end, producing offense, solid in his own zone as well for Detroit. So they have a couple of key injuries. Oli Mata's on IR, Robert Haig as well. And they've also been without, of course, Tyler Bertuzzi and Jacob Vrana for quite some time as well. So there are some concerns about Detroit, a team that's lost 3 in a row as well. Their offense has gone dormant. They've scored just 2 goals in the last 3 games combined during this losing streak. Ottawa's starting to pick it up, 3 wins in a row against Nashville, Anaheim, Montreal. We'll see if they carry that over here. I haven't bet the game. I probably won't, at least pregame. Lean a little to Ottawa, though, just because they're in current form. Better form at the moment at -115. Don't know if I'll get involved. You've got both teams trending to the under, actually, if you could believe it. 2 teams that I thought would be pretty much over teams just because they're capable offensively. But Ottawa's gone under in 3 straight games. Detroit has now seen their games go under the total in 6 straight games coming into tonight, this afternoon, rather. So maybe that continues here. Ville Husso is in net for Detroit. It's confirmed. And Cam Talbot, the goalie for Ottawa. So other than a small lean to Ottawa, I'm not involved in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Senators, Red Wings.
Yeah, I don't play many unders, but I like under 6 here. I mean, you got 5-2-1 the last 8 meetings in Detroit. Detroit on a 7-game streak going to the under. Sens are 13-3 the last 16 to the under. And you mentioned with Detroit, most of the guys you mentioned that are injured are guys who help with the scoring. Ronick is a guy who's had some quality chances. This definitely feels like it's going to be an under game, an early start as well. You kind of see just a slow feeling out pace. I'd also take a shot with the draw here at +350. This definitely feels like it could be one of those kind of games that deals 1-1 or 2-2 heads after regulation, heading into overtime or shootout. So I'm going to go under 6, and I'm going to go draw +350.
Shout out to my Hamilton fellow Hamiltonian. I'm in Hamilton, Ontario. Ben Sherratt, who's from Hamilton, stepping up when the other night fighting Reeves. It was after Ronick got hit. That's not an easy assignment when you got to fight Ryan Reeves. That guy can chuck him with the best of them. Tough son of a gun, a tough prick, as they say on Letterkenny. That is exactly what Ryan Reeves is. And for Ben Sherratt, to step up and drop the gloves with him, I give him all the credit in the world. So way to go, Ben Sherratt. That's my Don Cherry voice. Way to go, Ben Sherratt. What do you think here, Brett? Ottawa, Detroit.
I watched Detroit last Thursday, and they didn't look very good. The only guy who was kind of creating offense was Dylan Larkin. If he's hurt, well, it could be. I would definitely go the under, fellas. I know, Ottawa has DeBrincat. He hasn't been doing too much, it doesn't seem like, this year. Hard to say. I would definitely go under, and I'm probably picking Ottawa. Detroit's a little bit injury-ridden, but they were, as of last week, they still had that last playoff or wild card spot. So they're doing good with these guys that are injured. A lot better than they have been the last couple of years. But going to go Ottawa on the under for that match.
Good news, though, I'm seeing, courtesy of Helene St. James here on the she's a good follow. She's been beat writing for Detroit for a very long time. It looks like on the ice for warm-ups right now at the Pizza Box, Little Caesars Arena, Ronick, Larkin, and Mata. So maybe they're all in. We'll have to wait. That's a good sign, obviously, if they're taking part in pregame warm-ups right now, just half an hour before the game. So keep that in mind. I'm just seeing that now. That's going to help Detroit's cause a little bit in this one. But again, I'd still lean Ottawa because of the form.
That's why I stayed completely away from a side. This could be, this Detroit a better team than Ottawa right now? Sure. But with guys being banged up, and we always talk about that too. Just because the guy's back healthy, but you got to throw him back in the lineup doesn't mean he's gonna jump right back into form in that first game. So it still remains to be seen. And like I said, these two teams have been trending so heavily to the under, not getting a lot of offense generated.
I wouldn't argue with one small little. If you're going to do a same game parlay here, do a point prop with Tkachuk and with DeBrincat. Those two guys have really picked it up lately. DeBrincat's back on the beam again after a little bit of a sluggish start. Tkachuk's been good, and they're picking up the slack with Stützle, someone who's a big part of the top 6 for Ottawa, out due to injury. So there's a little same-game parlay option you could look at for that.
Cubano's cheat in the chat mentioned about DeBrincat. He has a great track record against Detroit. Granted, that was with Chicago. Those games kind of mattered a little bit more, but, they should be fired for this one. It is a division battle.
Yeah, that would be probably worth a look too, to DeBrincat to score a goal. Definitely, I could see that here. Columbus and Boston. This is also a game that's going to start in half an hour, 1 p.m. Eastern. Boston -420 to -430 here. Home favorite, 6.5 the total in this one. It's actually gone up from the -390 on Boston that I posted on the graphic that you see on the screen. Look, obviously the Bruins coming off a very rare home loss against the LA Kings, only their second home loss of the season in a shootout the other night. They will be looking to bounce back here. Jeremy Swayman is getting the call here. Now, it's mostly been Linus Ullmark, and because he's been so terrific as the number one goalie. Swayman's only gotten duty here and there, but he has played pretty solidly at times. Did give up 4 goals his last start against Arizona, but still 5-3, 2.8 goals against average, 887 save percentage. This will be his first start since allowing those 4 goals in that loss to the Arizona Coyotes in that game. We'll see if he can bounce back. You've got Daniil Tarasov once again in net for the Blue Jackets, dealing with obviously Korpisalo on IR. And the fact that Tarasov, Alex, is getting the second straight start tells you where they think Elvis Merzlikins is confidence-wise, and he's been Merzlikin, as we've said, all season long in net for the Jackets. He hasn't been the same since that tragedy with his friend Matisse Kivlenieks, that firework incident. You can trace it all the way back to that. Elvis Merzlikins has not played good since that moment happened, and I think it's a mental thing, not just physically, with his struggles. And look, Tarasov doesn't have great numbers, but he's got the best numbers of any goalie Columbus has right now, which isn't saying much with a 3.14 goals against and 910 save percentage, but he still has been better than the other two, Korpisalo and Merzlikins, and they're going to give him another start. He wasn't that bad against Tampa. 3 goals on 28 shots in that game. You're not going to be able to win if you don't get any offense, and Columbus is all of a sudden struggling to score, and that's what's going to keep me off the game. I kind of want to look at an over here with Swayman and Tarasov in net. Boston capable offensively as well, but at 6.5 early game, Columbus has trended under in 3 of their last 4 games. They've only scored 1 goal in the last 2 games combined. And keep in mind, they faced Sergei Bobrovsky, who struggled this year, and Brian Elliott, who was in backing up Andrei Vasilevsky against Tampa Bay. And he was starting Elliott in that game, and they still only scored 1 goal in those 2 games combined. So it's a very rare, and I mean very rare for Mr. High Volume Better, yours truly. This is a very rare pass for me, Columbus and Boston. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, well, for those of you that didn't get to join us for the betcast the other day, this will be kind of a pseudo, kind of betcast thing, because I'm going to look to try to bet this live over. I'm waiting for it to drop down to 5.5. Anything in the pick 'em range, that's what I'll be looking to grab. And like I said, but Tarasov, running him back to back, like I said, yeah, it definitely shows that there's issues with the goaltending. Now, like I said, the kid's playing well. I'm not discrediting him. He's definitely elevated up a bit in my charts, but I don't think he's ready to be a NHL number 1 or even a 1A, 1B option right now. They're throwing him into that spot because they have to. And I know we talked about Boston. Could they get tripped up and finally lose that regulation game? I don't think this is going to be the case here. I think it'll happen at some point, but not today. So I'm looking for that live over once it drops 5.5, and I'll mention it in the chat and on the show as well.
All right, good stuff. So a live betting opportunity, Alex, waiting for that. Brett, how about you? Jackets, Bruins.
Got to go with the Bruins, man. They're pretty legit this year. They're at home. If it was the other way around, where they were in Columbus, you never know. They could fall asleep, and Columbus might sneak one out. But today, I think the Bruins are going to absolutely give it to them, and then it's the afternoon. They'll have time to do whatever they want after. So there's a little motivation there. You don't want to lose at home on a matinee game on a Saturday afternoon. So I think that says it all right there. Bruins, the over.
Bruins are, and the over as well for Brett. But yeah, the Bruins are used to these afternoon games. Keep that in mind. They're used to them. They've played them a bunch. They just played one 2 weeks ago, an afternoon game against Colorado. And actually, I think that might have been at night. I think it was actually. That game was at night, but they won it 5-1. But they've played a lot of afternoon games.
As I said, that's a great point. And Columbus doesn't play that many day games. No. Boston, Philly, Ottawa, Detroit. You can kind of pinpoint the 8 or 9 teams that play a bunch of day games throughout the season. Columbus is one of them.
No question about that. All right, Anaheim, Edmonton. This is the last of the afternoon games, by the way. Third and final matinee affair, 4 p.m. Eastern. Edmonton minus 330, home favorites. 6.5 being the total in this game. This is, I think, for me, it's going to be a split bet here with Edmonton team total probably and the full game over. I think they're both probably going to get there. If I had to guess. Because you look at Anaheim, I mean, you look at the series history, first of all. Let's start there. 6 in a row have gone over the total between the Anaheim Ducks and the Edmonton Oilers. Final scores in those 6 games, 6-0 to the over, 5-1, 6-2, 4-3, 6-5, 7-3, 6-1. So we've seen a lot of high-scoring games with these two teams. We know Anaheim doesn't defend a lick. They were better against Montreal. I think after getting just destroyed by Toronto 7-0, then losing 6-1 to San Jose, they figured, come on, let's hump up defensively one fucking night. Let's do it. Let's get something going defensively. Let's show some pride. We are an NHL team, for crying out loud. Let's at least show some professionalism here after getting just shit kicked at the 2 games there out of 3. And they did that against Montreal. Give them credit for that 5-2 win. It's about as good as they've played for 60 minutes all season long, but I don't trust them to do it 2 in a row. Anaheim has never been a team this year where they put 2 good games in a row together. I bought in like a dummy, like a schmuck, like a schmo, whatever you want to call me, after they lost to Carolina, or after they beat Carolina, I should say, Anaheim. It was a great win. They beat a really good Carolina Hurricanes team. And then they come back at home against lowly San Jose and they lose 6-1. That's what Anaheim has done this year. They've never been able to withstand prosperity. They've never been able to take one good performance and carry it over into the next. And I don't trust them to do that here against Edmonton, who's got to be pissed off about giving that game away against St. Louis. They had a 3-1 lead. They lost in a shootout. They had that goal taken away from them, that controversial offside call in overtime where they could have won that game. I know McDavid and the Oilers weren't happy about that. So you got to believe here this is, an Edmonton team that's going to want to bounce back, won't take the Oilers or won't take the Ducks lightly here. We don't have goalies confirmed yet for this game, although it does look like we might see Dostal in once. I'd be shocked if it isn't him again, because he did get the win against Montreal and he played pretty well. That being said, you're playing a pretty high-flying, potent Edmonton team, and his numbers are still on the year, 4.02. Goals against average, 872 save percentage. Not a one Anaheim goalie has good numbers with this Civ defense, basically playing in front of these goalies all year. Dostal did play better. I got to see him do it again here, though, against the Oilers. We don't know who's going to be in net. We assume Skinner because they've been going with him a lot lately. Will they maybe give Jack Campbell a look? They did win the last time he was in net, 5-3 against Nashville, but that remains to be seen. But what I'm going to end up doing here is definitely over 6.5. I like that. 6 straight head-to-head meetings have gone over. So I like that over 6.5 minus 120. And maybe also a smaller look toward Edmonton team total over 4 minus 135. It's not a bad price, but you got to go with 4 instead, or either go 4 or 4.5, because 3.5 is like minus 200. And you don't want to be laying that price. So Oilers team total over 4, split with the over 6.5 as well for me in this game. Alex, Ducks, Oilers.
Yeah, I take a small shot with that first period over at 2, looking at plus $1.10 over at BetMGM, plus $1.05 at Bet Online. Anaheim 12-4 last 16 games to the first period over. Edmonton hasn't done well in that category, but Edmonton's, keep in mind, they've had a lot of 2s, so looking at their numbers from a 1.5 perspective, they're just 15-16. But when you go adjust it to 2, they've done a little bit better. And like I said, Anaheim's defense is just poor. And with Dostal, that's a guy who I don't really trust as much as far as third string goalies go. He's a little bit lower ranked on my chart, so I could see Edmonton possibly getting at least 2 here. And like I said, Skinner, we're waiting for the bottom to kind of drop out with him too. I mean, he's been playing, well, but at some point, does he regress back to what we saw from his backup days the last couple of years prior, or does he just kind of just stay afloat up and down? I think Anaheim could possibly find one to get to the back of the net, but Edmonton, if they get everything rocking and rolling early, they might be able to take care of an over 2 by themselves and get out with a 3-0, 3-1 lead. So I expect high scoring throughout the entire game. I'm just going to go with the first period over at 2 plus $1.10.
If you want to capitalize on this game too, because we think Edmonton's going to score goals, this is a matchup of the number 1 power play in the NHL, which is Edmonton, versus the dead last penalty kill in the NHL, 32nd, which is Anaheim. So if you're going to bet Edmonton props today, goal props, and especially the point props, don't settle for the point props, and the worst prices. Get involved with the power play points. Get involved with these power play points props today with Edmonton, where you'll get better prices. And again, you've got number 1 power play versus the worst penalty kill in the NHL. You could get Tyson Barrie to get a power play point, plus 120. Evan Bouchard, who's going to play on the second power play unit, plus 650. And he'll shoot the puck from anywhere. So These are good options. Draisaitl, you got to lay a good price with the power play point -175, McDavid -190. I think the best option, Nugent Hopkins is probably a good power play point option. He's on the number one unit, -110. A guy that is also on the number one power play unit for the Oilers, and he's red hot right now, Zach Hyman. He's a power play point for him today, +130. That is outstanding, that price. He's in great form. It's a number one power play against Anaheim's dead last penalty kill, and he's +130 to get a power play point today, Zach Hyman. That's the best of all the power play points options for the Oilers, in my opinion.
And with the increase in same game parlays and things, would you recommend when you see discrepancies in special teams units to maybe stack, say, Hyman, McDavid, all together power play points in a parlay, put 2 or 3 guys together and play those kind of small and look for it? Because if you get a Hyman goal and a McDavid assist, you cash both right away. So is that something you would recommend as well?
The 4 guys on the number one unit, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, Draisaitl, McDavid, those are the 4 forwards that are on their number one power play unit. You could do a nice little parlay of those. I would agree with that. And this would be the game to do it. They're top of the league power play versus the worst penalty kill in the NHL, and you'd be able to get, I think, a pretty damn good price with that. In fact, I'm going to put that together. I'll let Brett talk about this game, but I'm going to look at what that would be, a little parlay of those 4 guys to get a power play point tonight this afternoon for the Oilers. Brett, what do you think here, Anaheim, Edmonton?
Got to go with Edmonton, fellas. If that's the case, and they're top, I know they had the top power play, but I didn't realize Anaheim had the worst. Got to go with Edmonton. They're going to be dinging today. Power play over 6.5, definitely. Stuart Skinner, he's on a run. He's a big dude. I watched him here a couple weeks ago as well. They didn't look very good, but they ended up beating the Panthers. But they're pretty good on these matinee games. Anaheim's coming in. They're on the road swing there. I think they might they know what McDavid can do, so I think Edmonton's going to roast them today. I would definitely go Edmonton to win and the over.
All right, Edmonton to win and the over here in this one. Plus, you could do that. You know what you can do is a combo bet on that as well, and we know several books have that, and that's probably a good option here. It's probably Edmonton and over in some form as a combo bet. I think is probably a good consideration here in this game. Let me find what the price of that would be. Edmonton and over 5.5 -104. Right around even money at Pinnacle. It's pretty good. I think that's definitely something to consider because I think Edmonton's winning this game after the tough loss the other night against St. Louis. Let me just see. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm just seeing that now, Jarek. Bet365, they won't let you put the power play points in the SGPs. Only the regular points.
I'm looking at that too now. I bet MGM. I was just trying to do that myself, and it's not letting it connect. So.
No, so they don't basically allow power play points in the SGPs. So you got to bet them individually. Unfortunately, the best one is Hyman to me. +130 power play point, Zach Hyman. Excellent bet, in my opinion. All right, great stuff. Let's go to the night games now. Toronto, Washington. We've got the Leafs -150, road favorite, 6 the total in this game. The numbers getting up there. I do like the Leafs in this spot and there's a lot of things that favor them, I think, here. You're off the loss to the Rangers. Washington came back down to earth, losing to Dallas. And let's be honest, a few of those Washington wins were against some sisters of the poor, including Alex's Chicago Blackhawks during that win streak. I think this is going to be a lot tougher. And you talk about a motivational spot. You've got Ilya Samsonov starting tonight for the Leafs, going back to Washington. They didn't even tender him a contract offer. They didn't even offer him anything. They basically said, we don't want you back. You're gone. And that resonated. And they asked him about it, yesterday, and he didn't say it fully that he wants to beat them, but he wants to beat them, essentially. No question about that. So I think you're going to see a very good effort here in this game from Ilya Samsonov, fired up, making his return to Washington, a team that basically summarily dismissed him and wanted no part of bringing him back to the team, almost like they made him the scapegoat for the problems they had last year. Now, he didn't have a great year, but the whole team kind of was disappointing Washington. So I think definitely Toronto is the better squad at the moment. You do have Ovechkin chasing the 802. Obviously, that's definitely something that you want to keep an eye on in this game. But at the same time, Jake Ottinger was saying after the game, I didn't want Ovechkin to score those goals on me. You think Samsonov is going to want Ovi to score those goals against him? Especially with him not ending his tenure in Washington the way he wanted. So I definitely think I like the Leafs here. I don't love that the price has gone up because I took a minus 135 on them. And now it's gone up since then to about minus 145 to 150. But I do like Toronto here to win this one here against the Capitals tonight. Alex, what do you think? Leafs, Capitals?
Yeah, I don't bet many Toronto games as far as sides go, but I like Toronto here in regulation. Just grab that at plus $1.05 at Bet Online. I think this, like I said, Washington seems to be enamored with everything Ovechkin right now, and they've been playing fairly well. But at some point, that kind of it seemed like there was a lot of weight off of his shoulders for sure. Just getting to 800 with that hat trick. I'm sure he wants to, relish in the moment, of course, and these are, all great historic moments. But at the same time, I'm sure him and the team kind of want to get past it as well, get back to playing some full team hockey, which, like I said, they've been doing that, in waves. But Toronto's just been running hot right now, and this is probably the last time we're going to get some decent value with them because, looking ahead and when they start playing some of these lower tier teams, we're going to see that number balloon from 150 to 200, 250 and so forth. That's just what we see with Toronto. They're always going to be a public darling, especially when they start winning in stretches like this. So plus 105 in regulation, that's my shot here with the Maple Leafs tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think if you actually look, and I remember last year, this was the case with the Leafs and the Capitals. Toronto's played well in Washington lately. They've had no problems winning in D.C., the Leafs. You look at it, they've actually won 4 straight against the Capitals, including each of their last 2 trips to Washington. So they've had actually good recent success head-to-head against the Capitals, and they beat them early in the season this year, back in October, 3-2 at home. What do you think here, Brett, Leafs-Capitals?
I think it's going to be a decent game there, fellas. Ovi's trying to pump a few Genos here to try to get to that record, beat Gordie Howe. Like you guys said before, the biggest thing about this game is the motivation of the Tendy there for Toronto. So he's coming back into Washington. I think he's going to stand on his head. Total of 6. It's hard to say there. It all depends. Like these games, they're usually a tight battle, 2-1, or else it's 6-5. It's hard to go. I think Toronto's going to squeak it out. I don't know if it's going to go over 6 or under 6, but I think it's going to be a close game. These usually are pretty decent games, Toronto and Washington, in Washington. So I'm going to go with Toronto. I'm going to go the under, actually, on this one.
All right, liking the under. I could see that because Samsonov's going to want to play well. And by the way, Samsonov's numbers are really good. 1.7 goals against, 939 save percentage. And Lindgren's been good, honestly. Lindgren's been very solid for the Capitals. 2.76 goals against average, 910 save percentage. And, of course, he's the guy now with Darcy Kemper injured for the Washington Capitals. So definitely goalies that are playing well for both sides right now. And we could see that translate. As far as the props go, Bunting on the top line is starting to heat up. It's probably not a bad look from a goal prop standpoint for the Leafs. Marner finally had his consecutive game point streak snapped. He'll have to start a new one now. Washington, of course. I know Ovechkin's going to be the focus, but don't sleep on Connor Sheary. He has been very productive lately for the Capitals. And Mantha moving up to the second line might be worth a look as well for a prop for them tonight as well. Rangers and Flyers next up. Rangers minus 165, road favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the under. In this game, Rangers starting to play better hockey, no question. Give them a lot of credit. Starting to get their game back. Shesterkin's starting to play better. They've won 5 in a row, including a nice win against Toronto on Thursday night. Philadelphia snapping a 4-game losing streak and a huge upset win, plus 250 underdogs. They go to New Jersey and they beat the Devils 2-1 the other night. Very impressive win for Philly. And again, they're still not scoring goals, but they got just a phenomenal goaltending effort from Carter Hart. 48 saves on 49 shots against the Devils. That's what it's going to have to take for Philly to win games. Goalie is going to have to steal 1 or 2 for them, and Carter Hart certainly did that Saturday night. He's back in net tonight against the Rangers. Interesting that Halak might actually get the start here for the Rangers tonight, with this being the first of a back-to-back. They're in Chicago tomorrow night, but there's potential, at least. Halak is going to be in tonight. He'll get one of these 2 games, you would think, But there is a chance apparently that it could be tonight because a lot of sites haven't projected, although no official announcement has been made yet in terms of whether he will be in net tonight for the Rangers or not. Just projections that he might be at this point. It's probably not a game I'm going to do too much with. I mean, I certainly don't want to step in front of the Rangers. They're starting to get their game back together again. But, minus 160 on the road. Flyers do nothing but play tight games lately. I mean, they've kept everybody pretty close to them. 3-2 with Colorado, 5-4 with Arizona, 2-1 with Vegas, 2-1 with New Jersey. Maybe a draw. Maybe a draw tonight, Rangers-Flyers. That's a tight game. And certainly if it's a Hart versus Halak matchup, certainly going to give maybe the Flyers a little goalie edge. And you've got Hart as well in Philly where he's got historically better numbers. So maybe the draw. Other than that, I'm probably not going to bet it. What do you think here, Alex?
Yeah, I would lean with the draw, but it's not going to make my card. I would have to wait for goalie confirmations because if it's Halak, I'd lean towards taking Flyers straight up money line, and that's not something that I've done all this year, to be honest. They've been a pretty bad team. But like I said, it'd be interesting to see what choice Gallant makes because, lesser two evils, you're playing two bad teams on back-to-back nights. Personally, as a Hawks fan, I'd love to see Halak get the start tomorrow at the United Center as opposed to Shesterkin. But this is more, like I said, with a big card like this, I probably won't have anything going rolling with this one tonight.
All right, Brett, how about you, Rangers, Flyers?
Yeah, this one's a tough one, fellas. The Rangers have a pretty good squad, but they've been hit or miss this year. Same with Philly. They've looked absolutely shitty, but then they squeak out a win against the Devils. I probably, like you guys are saying, I wouldn't fuck around with this game. I just let it go, but I don't know. I'm going to say it's going to be tight, but I go with the Rangers and probably the under. It's probably going to be 3-2 in overtime if I was going to wager on this one, but you never know.
That's why they play the games. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never, especially in hockey, we've seen it. Like, look at Arizona last night. Big upset for them against the New York Islanders. It's still there's that old saying: anybody can beat anybody on any given night, and you definitely saw signs of that. As far as the props go, Lafreniere is starting to kick it for the Rangers, getting better form. Hedl starting to get going. They put the kid line together again. Anyone on that line is probably worth a look because they've seem to be getting that chemistry going again. Jimmy Vesey scored twice against the Leafs. Maybe don't sleep on him. We've talked about him maybe being undervalued in the goal prop market for the Rangers, so you could go in those two directions for sure. Dallas, Carolina. We've got Carolina minus 140 home favorites here, 5.5 being the total in this game. This is another one where Dallas off a nice bounce back victory against Washington, although as I said, I took Dallas the other night, but some of that was Washington off the big momentous night for Alex Ovechkin in Chicago where he got number 800. Kind of felt like it would be a tricky spot for the Capitals in that game. Carolina, they've won 3 in a row, 7-1 in their last 8 games. They're really playing good hockey at the moment. I'm not sure I'm ready to step in front of this team at the moment, especially if we see Kochetkov once again in between the pipes for the Hurricanes, which you'd assume in this game. He's playing very well right now. It's another one where you look at the series history. We've seen actually 3 of the last 4 meetings go over the total, but Dallas has gone under in 3 straight. Carolina has had 3 straight games stay under. Unfortunately, you got a 5.5 here. So I was hoping we'd see 6, but definitely makes sense that this is lower scoring. But again, those 5.5s are a lot trickier in today's NHL to bet under the total. If the number comes down any further, I might bet Carolina. And but we'll see on that. And we'll see who the goalies are, too. I'd want it with Kochetkov, who's been magnificent lately for the Hurricanes in net. I think their team defense has been outstanding as well. And keep in mind, they haven't had Sebastian Aho. That's what's even more impressive during this win streak. He's obviously one of their best forwards and still able to win games. And like I said, defensively, they've been just nails lately. 2 goals allowed in the last 3 games combined, including 2 shutouts against Detroit and the Islanders. So they've got that defensive game ratcheted up right now at Carolina for sure. Definitely lean in their direction, but waiting to see the goalies for this game. What do you think here, Alex? Stars, Hurricanes?
Yeah, you definitely got to wait and see with these goalies because Kochetkov's definitely a buy-on goalie, but I'd rather also look for if Jake Ottinger's not in goal, if it's Wedgwood, then I would probably lean to Carolina money line. I don't want anything to do with the regulation, draw or side. This one could go into OT, but it's 50-50 on that level. So nothing there. It would be either Carolina, like I said, that price drops down and we do get a Kochetkov sighting, and I'd have to grab it quick if Wedgwood's also confirmed too, because that 140 is going to go upward probably to about 160, 165. As far as total goes, this is one where, put your tracker on your phone, hope there's a goal scored in the first couple of minutes, and then maybe grab a live under at a 6.5 at a better adjusted price. That's probably going to be my mode of attack here if we do get, especially if we get a Ottinger sighting against Kochetkov.
No doubt, no doubt. And again, both teams trending under in the short term. What do you think here, Brett? Dallas, Kakalaki?
This is going to be the game of the day, I would say. Carolina's pretty legit. Dallas is good this year. It's going to be tight D. The fans in Carolina are pretty squirrely there, so another good game, I think. I think it's going to go, I think Carolina, but it's going to be under, definitely tight check-in. Not too many goals, even with the backups in. I think both teams have pretty tight D. It's going to be a good game, though. These teams are two good teams in the league, so going Carolina the under, but it will be a good game.
Liking the under here as well in this one. We'll get to the next games coming up, but first we're going to hear from one of our two sponsors just this week, one of our two brand new sponsors here on the Ice Guys. Alex going to tell us about the Gramco and all their great products.
Yeah, the Gramco.com. Gramco, wonderful Delta 8 THC products. And whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, track, court, or on the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta 8 THC products ready for any occasion. They have vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you, and it's also available at many American retailers as well. Get the best Delta 8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. If you visit thegramco.com and use promo code IceGuys, you will save 25% on every order on the site, and any order that's over $50, standard shipping is free. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta 8 products today.
There you go. And Alex loves them. He's tweeted about them. So when we endorse products on this show, we like them, we use them. It's not just that we're selling or we're advertising for them. We like
and Brett,
products,
they're a Florida company too, so they're all over in Florida. So
okay, I need that. I need a wake and bake coffee now.
Well, there you go. The Gramco.com, 25% off. Use promo code IceGuys. There you go.
I'm gonna check them out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Support the show. Sponsors that support the show. I always say that to everybody watching and listening. We appreciate it very much. So check it out, thegramco.com, 25% off with promo code IceGuys. All right, back to the card. We go Tampa Bay and Montreal. Next up, Tampa Bay minus 250. Road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Tampa Bay rolling along. Nice run for them lately. I mean, they've definitely kicked it into high gear. You can say they've won 4 straight, 6-1 in their last 7, 8-2 in their last 10 games. Like I said, playing some really good hockey and really scoring goals in bunches during this time. They've scored a grand total of 19 goals in their last 4 games combined. So this team is feeling it at the offensive end of the ice right now. No question about that, averaging way more than 4 goals per game at this point in time. I like Tampa team total here, over 3.5. I'm just going to keep it simple. I want to be on Tampa Bay in some form with the way they're playing right now. A Montreal team that's lost 2 in a row, and a Montreal team that, is capable of giving up goals to, teams that are lighting it up. And Jake Allen is in net. And, he has had some decent games of late for the Canadians, but he's still someone that's usually going to give up 3. He's done that a lot this season. If you go back to November the 12th against Pittsburgh, he has made, let me just see here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 starts since November the 12th. And he has given up a minimum of 3 goals in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those 11 starts. He's given up 3 or more goals. We need 4 out of Tampa. I think it's doable. Lightning team total over for me. What do you think here, Alex? Lightning Canadian.
Yeah, that'd be the only thing I would look at here, and that's not a super exorbitant price. I'm grateful. I thought we were going to possibly see a 4.5 here with Tampa Bay, but the way they've been rolling right now, I want to back them, but you can't even on a regulation price. You can't get that good of a number. So go with team total with the Lightning. That's the thing. Now we talked about it. The books are going to adjust quickly because they know that Tampa Bay is a quality team. They can light the lamp at any moment and play some solid defense as well. And when they're getting great goaltending from Vasilevsky, sky's the limit. And now we're seeing the value that we had with the Lightning just a week and a half ago. It's pretty much gone, and I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of plus signs by the Lightning's name anytime soon. So you got to be creative, and that's the way to do that with the team total over.
No question about that. And by the way, this is another one of those matchups you want to keep an eye on it here. You've got the 6th power play for Tampa Bay, and all of a sudden, Montreal's penalty kill for the season's not bad, but lately it hasn't been nearly as good. They've given up 4 in the last 3 games, the Montreal penalty kill. This could be a power play points type of night for Tampa Bay, so maybe look at some power play points for the Lightning right now because their power play is feeling it at the moment. Brett, what about you here? Lightning, Habs.
Well, you guys got all the professional betting, the line, all the advice. I'm giving you the intangible stuff here. So Marty St. Louis, Lightning alumni, obviously won the cup. He's the coach for the Habs there. I think Vinny Lecavalier, he's like an assistant GM or something like that too.
He is.
Some Tampa ties. So I think there's going to be a lot of money on the board for the Habs to pull this one out for their coach if they like their coach, obviously. Tampa's going to have a little bit of motivation coming in, beating Marty St. Louis at home in Montreal. But I'm going to say Montreal is going to come in, going to squeak this one out.
All right,
they got a good offense too, man. Some of those kids, Cole Caulfield, Suzuki, Kirby Dach's playing good.
Yep.
Like, why did your Hawks get rid of Dach and DeBrincat? Not sure their thinking process there, but
neither does Alex.
That first line is Dach, Suzuki, and Cole Caulfield. So I'm going to go the over with Montreal here. It's going to be a little bit of a shootout, but they're gonna squeak her out at home, I'm going to say.
Yeah, you definitely bucking the trend with that one because Lightning 17-4 the last 21 meetings, and the favorite 20-6 the last 26.
I like it, though. I like the reasoning, though. Whether you agree with Montreal winning this game or not, you like Brett's reasoning. He at least gave you some fucking thing that makes sense, and it's true. St. Louis and Lecavalier, facing the Lightning, they got a connection there. There's something to that, and we'll see if that's going to be enough for Montreal here. But I do think it'll be close because you actually look, they've played Tampa tough in a lot of these games. The last 5 head-to-head meetings, 3-2, 1-0, 3-2, 5-4, 5-4. They've been close. Yeah. Montreal has been,
and they have a history. They have a history. The division rivals, and they also played each other in the Stanley Cup final in that bubble year, or the shortened year rather. So that's something to kind of keep in consideration too. He said 17-4, but playing tough. It's a tough one from a side perspective, honestly. Like I said, but that's the thing with the team total too. We're going over 3.5. This could easily be, if Montreal is really geared up and ready for it, could easily be a 4-4 game. At least you get out of there with laying that on the team total.
Yeah, no question. That's a good prop game. You're right. I even though I like Tampa team total, and that's why I like the team total, because I think Tampa's going to get a tough game from Montreal, but I still like them to score 4 goals. You could look at like I say, power play point props for Tampa. You could look at Dach. Dach is plus 500 still at Bet365 to score a goal tonight, and he plays on the top line. They don't price him like they price Caulfield and Suzuki in the goal scorer prop market. It's absolutely insane, and I've been able to take advantage of this. So look in that direction, I think, once again, that maybe we can get undervalued Cole Caulfield. And I think Josh Anderson might be moving up the lineup tonight as well for the Canadians, and I like that situation from a prop standpoint when we got player moving up the lineup. Could be worth a look there as well in terms of finding the back of the net. All right, next game is Florida and New Jersey. We've got the Devils minus 140, home favorites, 6.5 the total, shaded to the under in that game. I think shaded to the over rather, 6.5, shaded to the over there, Florida, New Jersey. I don't think I'm going to bet this game, unfortunately, from a side perspective anyway. I don't want to back Florida. I don't trust Florida right now. Brett's got a bird's eye view there of the Panthers being in Coconut Creek, and they just haven't put it all together. I know they had that shutout against Columbus, but Columbus is not a very good hockey team. What happens next game against someone really good? Pittsburgh, they lose to the Penguins the other night. They're just issues right now. I find Florida does not have, and we'll get Brett's take on this, I find that Florida doesn't have the third and the fourth line scoring punch they did last year. I mean, right, especially with the injuries they've got. They've got Tkachuk day-to-day, Colin White day-to-day, Lundell. Hornquist is on IR. Duclair is on IR for this team. They've got a little bit of an illness bug running through the team right now. The last few days, that's definitely hurt them a little bit. There's no telling if Tkachuk is going to be back here tonight for the Panthers. We'll have to wait and see on that if he's able to return here for them tonight. So it's definitely concerning, and they've got to run with goalie Bob still in net with Spencer Knight. They're just waiting for him to be ready to go and ready to return. But already it's been confirmed that Sergei Bobrovsky is going to be in net tonight for the Panthers in this game. So I don't really want to back Florida here, and they're only 6-10 on the road this year. Keep that in mind. But New Jersey is in their first full-blown, slump, of the season. They've lost 4 in a row. I'm not rushing to lay $140 with them after losses to the Islanders, the Rangers, the Stars, and the Flyers in their last game, although they probably deserved a better fate. They heavily outshot Philly 49-24. I still don't want to lay $140, though. Their offense hasn't been nearly as good the last couple of games. The penalty kill has struggled a little bit more. They've given up 3 power play goals in the last 4 games. That's a little bit concerning here against, although Florida's been ice cold with the power play the last 5. A lot of trends going back and forth. Same with the total. I mean, series history, it's been really a over series history with these two teams. It was 7-6 the last time they played. I guess I'd lean over the total in this game, but even that, I don't love it a ton. So tough game. Maybe I get involved with the over depending on who's in net for Jersey and if Tkachuk plays. But other than that, I'm passing on the side for sure. I don't want to take Florida, and I don't want to lay this price with Jersey right now either. Alex, what do you think here, Panthers, Devils?
Yeah, about 35 minutes ago from the Panthers account, they confirmed Bobrovsky in that. They said Tkachuk is back in the lineup, and Radko Gudas is a game-time decision. So with that all being said, and if this was a smaller card, I would take a shot with New Jersey here. This is one of those prove your worth kind of games. Down, having that 4-game losing streak after having a great start and a great streak and a great run. They got to prove to everybody that, okay, yeah, we deserve to be a favorite. We're still one of the top teams in the East. This is an opponent you need to put away, a Florida team that's been struggling, can't find a way, get out of their own way for most of this year. And like I said, I think the coaching change had a lot to do with that. I think, kind of taking them away out of that style, that fire wagon hockey style they were playing last year, trying to be a more disciplined, more cycle-heavy possession team. It just hasn't worked out for them. But New Jersey's had some magic right now, and this is the game where they have to prove to everybody if they still have that magic, if they've lost it a little bit. I think New Jersey wins this game at 140. I don't want to touch it. Definitely don't want to look at it in regulation. I could see this easily going into OT. So maybe look for an in-game draw play if you see this one kind of playing a little bit tight. All
right. What do you think here, Brett? You guys, you see the Panthers a lot. What do you think of them right now and tonight against New Jersey?
I think the Panthers are, like you guys said, they're a little bit broken down, beaten up, injured, a little bit sick. It's too hot here, so people are getting sick. Minus, that's a joke, sarcasm. Yeah, they're just not watching them a lot last year to this year. They're just a totally different team. Like Paul Maurice is a good coach. I think he'd be a good hire for any team, but just the fit here isn't well for him, and kind of teams change their system to go with D and focus on D, which is good. That helps you win championships. But this team was high-flying offense. They're beating teams 9-3, 9-2, winning games 8-7, shit like that. Like, that's just who they are, When a team's like that, you just got to roll with what works, and they're trying to change it up here, and it's just not working for them. And I think they're going to go into New Jersey, lay an egg. New Jersey's is what it is. They've been on a run. It's interesting with New Jersey. Every sports show, every TV show, TSN you watch, they're all saying that New Jersey isn't as good as you think they are or as good as their record is. And they say as soon as they falter, they're going to be shit. I don't know if I believe that. I haven't watched them enough to analyze their game, but I think that, they still have a good squad. I think they're going to go on a run here, but I think they are going to beat the Panthers in a sleeper here tonight. It's going to be like a 2-1 game. Bob's going to stand on his head, but just going to be a sleeper. So I'm going to go with the Devils with an under.
Yeah, and that's the thing about New Jersey, too. Like I said, I was a skeptic about how they were playing as well. But the fact that, they found ways to win. And that's the thing. That's what I said, has the magic run out with them? I don't think they're as great of a team as top 2, top 3 in the East. but I do think they're a capable team, and they find different ways to win. Their balanced scoring attack is something that I'm impressed with. Vanacek, a guy who, once again, like Samsonov, both those guys leaving DC, I said they could easily be good fits and be number one goalies elsewhere. We've seen that with both cases. I think it's a good team, but I don't think it's a great team. And so I kind of get why you see some of the other talking heads saying that. But this is one of those games I feel like they should win, and I think they could win.
Yeah, definitely.
Either or, if you think this is going to be an interesting game, you better have some of those THC gummies you gave a shout out for. Eat a few of those if you're going to watch this game, because I think it'll be an absolute sleeper.
There you go. Yeah, so there you go. If you're going to watch Panthers and Devils, check out the Gramco.com, 25%. Promo code Ice Guy.
Definitely.
Nice. Way to tee that up, Brett.
Thanks, we appreciate it. Yeah, pump up our sponsors. That's good. You're guaranteed we're going to get you back on the show now. You keep doing that.
Send me a couple samples.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll hook you up for sure. Nashville, Colorado. We got Colorado minus 170 home favorite, 6 the total in this one. This is there's a bunch of games that are just tough, and this is another one where I don't want to back Nashville right now. They can't put a puck in the ocean. Their offense is dormant right now. They have stopped scoring. 1 goal against Winnipeg. They did score 3 against Edmonton, but with Jack Campbell and net, shut out by St. Louis before that. 2 goals, during this 5-game losing streak. This team has scored a grand total of 8 goals, in the last 5 games. That's not very good in terms of offensive production. Colorado off a 4-2 loss to Buffalo. I was on the Sabres as a big dog the other night against Colorado. They got the job done in Denver 4-2. Still very banged up, the Avalanche. We've talked about this. McKinnon out, Byram, Manson on the blue line remain out. Landeskog still out. Francouz is now day-to-day, so with an illness, so you definitely expect Alexander Georgiev in net. Should be UC Saros in net for Nashville. He played great against Winnipeg, but lose 2-1 because, again, they just can't score goals right now, the Nashville Predators. I could only look Colorado, but obviously if you're going to take them, you got to look in regulation to get a better price. But I don't want to get involved because they're still, they're either losing games or barely winning games still. If you look at their recent run, nothing is coming easily right now. For the Avalanche. Their 2 wins in the last 7 games have been an overtime win against St. Louis and a 3-2 win against Philadelphia, where they had to barely hang on at home against the Flyers. So I'm not going to bet a side. I'd lean under the total, honestly, but the series history is over. But Nashville can't score, and Colorado's played tighter defense, tighter style of hockey since with all the injuries, and they've been trending under the totals, 5 straight unders for Colorado. So I'd still have to lean under with the total of 6 here. What do you think, Alex? Predators, Avs?
Yeah, this is one I'm probably going to just completely stay away from. I was leaning initially just looking at the first period over because of series history, but you got to remember there's some playoff games in there as well. This is just one, like I said, the Avalanche, until they get a little bit fuller, health-wise, full lineup again, this is a team I'm just kind of staying away from. Like I said, this could easily be a 3-2 Nashville win or a 4-1 Colorado win. Just way too variable for me, so I'm passing.
Nothing wrong with that. A pass for Alex. Brett, how about you? Preds, Avs.
So here's a question. What's wrong with McKinnon, actually? I know he's out, but what's wrong with him?
The injury with him, McKinnon, is a upper body injury. It was from he took a hit, I remember it was, and it was in the Philly game, and you could tell he was definitely hurting after that. It was something in the upper body region, and he's out until at least the new year. So he's not going to be back for about another month or so.
Big injury then.
Yep.
Actually, I was in Nashville for American Thanksgiving, and I had tickets to the Predators and the Avalanche. It was a nice 1 p.m. matinee game on a Friday. Broadway was absolutely rocking. And then the water pipe broke in the Bridgestone Arena and flooded the rink. So didn't get to go. That game was canceled. Then the next night against Columbus, so I didn't get to watch. So I would have better analysis if I would have. But Nashville has 2 good goalies. Their backup played really good a couple nights ago. He's good. I forget what his name is, 32.
Lincoln.
He's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's very good. You got Colorado, that Francouz, he's been good, but Guillaume, he's really good. McKinnon's out, some of their offense. I'm going to go the under here, and I'm going to say Colorado, but I think it's going to be under, They still got Makar on the point. I've been watching a lot of Colorado this year. They're just electrifying to watch. Side story, every Tuesday and Thursday down here in Florida, there's a skate, and it's pretty high level skate. A lot of pro guys like who are retired or whatever. But Pierre Turgeon skates out here, and he's got the best team he's ever seen. So watching them, it's exciting to watch them. I love watching McKinnon, but even without him in the lineup, I think they're going to win, but it's the under.
Yeah, exactly. We think Colorado's going to win, but we don't love the value. We don't love the price. Under seems to be the best option in a game, and I'm saying that loosely, the best option. I think it's a tough game overall, side and total, but I'd lean under. Buffalo, Arizona. We've got the Sabres -175 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Buffalo with a nice win against Denver to start the road trip. Now they're going to Arizona. I mean, I think Buffalo's going to win, but I don't love laying this price. Now, they do have the rest advantage, right? They played Thursday in Colorado, back-to-back for Arizona. They were at home against the Islanders last night, but no travel on the back-to-back. They're still at home tonight, so it's not as bad of a back-to-back as you would think. And I'm not in a rush to lay this kind of price against the Coyotes here at the Mullet House. You know, they played inspired, energized hockey, and we've talked about that yesterday. That's why I thought they were live dogs last night against the Islanders. They're 3-0 at home in their 3 home games since they returned from that month-long road trip. You know, they have not lost on their home ice here at Mullet Arena since then, beating Boston, Philly, and the Islanders last night. In fact, that was their second win of the season against the Islanders last night. You know, I've been impressed. I mean, they're getting some offense now all of a sudden on these home games. They've scored 13 goals here in their 3 home games. The offense has sprung to life. Last night, it was from a variety of sources. Bukestad, as Nick Ballstad, of course, as Don Cherry would call him. Shane Gostisbehere has been a point-scoring machine lately. I think you got to look at points props involving him right now, for sure, for the Coyotes. We talked about Bukestad, Keller, and they've all been good for the Coyotes. Lawson Krause as well. I mean, they're getting their offense going right now, especially on home ice. We know Buffalo still can give up goals. And the thing that concerns me for the Sabres, too, tonight, while they've got Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins, Jack Quinn, J.J. Peterka, Tuck, Olofsson, I mean, they're loaded with offense. They're scoring goals right now, the Sabres, no question about that. They have scored 10 in the last 2 games combined. They might have as much as 4 starting defensemen out tonight for this game. They're already without Henry Jokiharju. They're already without Ilya Lyubushkin. Jacob Bryson is on IR. And Owen, I've got the power. Owen Power, he may miss this game as well. And he missed the last game too, but you're talking maybe 4 starting defensemen that could be out for the Sabres tonight. So that's the one concern. I think you'll see goals both ways. I like the over here. 6.5 in this one. Connor Ingram is confirmed in net. We know he's not the goalie that Vejmelka is for Arizona. I think it'll be Craig Anderson again for the Sabres. They've started to give him the net now, multiple games in a row, although it was not him, it was Luukkonen in the last game against Colorado, but I think it'll be back to Craig Anderson tonight. But either way, I think we'll see goals in this game. I like over 6.5. Alex, what do you think here? Buffalo, Arizona.
Yeah, I have to mention that I did play Bruins Columbus live over 5.5. I got -$1.15. So I just played that in game. Now it's scoreless right now with about 16.5 left in the first. But Buffalo, Arizona, I played this early this morning. I like that over 2 at +120 in the first period. We saw it cash last night, and I stayed away from it with Arizona and the Islanders. Islanders are certainly not a team you like to back with first period overs, but they end up getting it done. Got 3 actually, so they would have cleared over 2 as well. And like I said, Buffalo style with this kind of rink, everybody's talking about the fresh ice, the live boards. This is a Sabre team that could run wild. So I love the first period over. I would even look at that full game over, even at a 6.5. Connor Ingram's been just pitiful right now. And Craig Anderson's always due to lay a clunker, and they could still find ways because of that offense to win a 6-5 or 6-4 kind of a game. So I'm going to go first period over. I'm going to go full game over.
There you go. First period and full game over. Both of them for Alex here. Brett, how about you? Sabres, Coyotes.
Here's another side story, fellas. Craig Anderson, in the summer, he lives here, obviously, down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
He plays as an out player in the men's league. He doesn't even play net. He plays as a forward. What do you guys think of that?
That's pretty cool. If I'm a goalie, I'd want to do something different.
I was gonna say,
would
I've
wanna
heard that,
play goalie,
yeah.
try something different. Yeah.
I've heard that from most goalies when they're usually, especially when they're done with their careers, they never get back in net and put the pads on again. They always play, if it's pickup or whatever, they play forward or D.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. For the game, I think Buffalo is going to come in there. That arena looks pretty wild. What does it seat? 5,000 fans or something like that?
Yep,
approximately
5,000. They keep saying it's getting louder and louder. The Coyotes players say it gives us real energy, the crowd and the student section, and I guess you got to believe them if they're saying it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be over there again, but I think the Sabres come in. You never know with the Coyotes here. Watch them a little bit. They have some life. They have Clayton Keller's unbelievable. Some good young talent, but I think Buffalo is going to come in there on a little bit of a heater. They're going to take it, but it's going to be an over. It's going to be like you guys are saying, 7-6, 6-4, 7-5 style of game in there. Defense optional, 0 fucks given mentality for the defense tonight, I think. So I'm going with the Buffalo Sabres.
All right, Buffalo and liking some goals as well. I think it's going to be that kind of game. I think Buffalo will win as much as Arizona's been good at home, but it's kind of at least for me scary to say let's lay -175 against Arizona here in this building where they've won 3 in a row and they've got some magic going. Mullet magic, is that what you call it right now? I guess it is for the Arizona Coyotes.
I got to mention Poe Buddy's Nerfic in the chat saying that Craig Anderson also eats his dinner at 4 p.m.
Is that an age joke there?
Yeah.
I'm getting to that age, Poe Buddy's Nerfic. It's not fun to make fun of people that are approaching 40 or 40 are approaching 40. I'm going to be 40 in 3 years. It's not an appetizing and appealing thought.
Yeah, getting closer.
And I think Brett's right around my age too. It's getting to that.
Just turned 38, buddy. Just turned.
Well,
there you go.
38.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not getting any younger. That's all we have to say.
Yeah.
And but look, Craig Anderson's not getting any younger either, and he's definitely a situation where you've got. Have you got a run, Brett? By the way.
No, I'm good. I was just typing in the chat here.
Oh, I see it now. Okay.
We've still got a couple games left. We've got 3 games left. We'll be done in about 10 or 15 minutes for sure. But
yeah, I'm
3
all
games
good,
left.
buddy.
All right. Yeah, I can tell you're just lounging. You're relaxing. You got no place to be. You're
chilling.
The only thing I'm missing is the drinks. I try not to drink on the daily show, but on the weekends once in a while, especially these long shows.
Yeah.
Why don't I have a beer with me? Why don't I have one right now?
You should have one. You're blowing it.
I know. It's fuck. Make the show. Certainly, I'd be going a lot smoother, definitely, because you could see you're running on fumes when you're doing these 13-game cards. They're long ones. They're marathons for sure. Feels like you've done a marathon and you're just sucking dirty pond water, the Pierre McGuire term, after doing a show like this. Winnipeg and Vancouver, this next game here. Winnipeg and Vancouver, even money, -110, both sides, 6.5 the total in this game. The Jets bounced back from a couple of losses in a row at home. They beat Nashville 2-1 in their last game. Now they go on the road to start a road trip. They're 8-5 this year on the road, not nearly as good as they've been at home. We'll see if they can keep it going here tonight against Vancouver. Vancouver has all of a sudden won 4 of their last 5. So let's give them some credit. I mean, other than a shutout loss to Minnesota 3-0, they beat Arizona, Montreal, San Jose, Calgary in a shootout. They've played a lot of tight games. Could the draw be a possibility in this game? Maybe. If you look at it. But no, I think Vancouver, I might pump the brakes on, going against this team tonight, even though I think Winnipeg probably is the better of these two teams right now. There's lots to like with the way the Jets are playing, but, Vancouver is starting to turn their game up a little bit. As far as the props go for the Jets, I mean, Connor's been excellent. Mark Scheifele's been good. Cole Perfetti on the top line, I think, remains undervalued for them. With Vancouver, Bo Horvat continues to light up. And I'm going to stand by it. Curtis Lazar, he's up on the top line now for the Canucks. Bruce Boudreau moved him there because he's a hard worker. He works hard as fuck to get the puck free, and he just is relentless. He's a dog on the bone on the puck. And I think Bruce Boudreau wanted an element like that on the top line with Bo Horvat and JT Miller. You can, once again, get a price of around plus, 450, 500 on Curtis Lazar to score a goal here in this game for the Vancouver Canucks tonight. I think it's definitely worth a look because he could have scored the last game. He had a couple of great chances, especially early in the hockey game. I think that's one of your better undervalued point goal scorer props of the night. Getting a guy like Curtis Lazar, now that he's moved up to the top line at a plus 600 at Bet365, and he's on the top line. I think it's absolutely worth a look there in that game. I lean a little bit to the over here just because of series history. We've seen 2 straight meetings go over the total, 4-3, 5-1 between these two teams. But at the same time, if it's Hellebuck and net, I definitely might peel back the reins a little bit on that. However, I get the sense we might see Big Siv Dave tonight, just a gut feel. It feels like we're due to see him back in net for the Jets tonight. We'll see if that's the case. If it is, I'll definitely pull the trigger over 6.5 here. Alex, how about you? Jets Canuck.
So I'm looking at bet MGM. I'm gonna go first period over 1.5. I'm gonna lay $1.55. I don't do that often, but the reason being is that we don't have a confirmation yet. I feel comfortable enough to bet this first period over with Hellebuck involved. If it's Riddick, of course I want to bet it, and that's when the number is going to balloon up to the point where you're going to have to bet 2s. So 155 is a cheap enough price to lay for 1.5 in this situation. Vancouver 8-2 the last 10 in the first period overs. It's funny you mentioned the 5-1 the last 6. All 5 of those wins coming in overtime. So this has been a team I did catch the draw with them when they played against Calgary the other night. I've leaned toward that because they have a nice run, and Winnipeg is also coming off of a game going past regulation, but it's not going to make my card. I do like this first period over. Lay the 155 with 1.5 because you're going to see that balloon to about 175, 180 if Riddick is confirmed.
Yeah, no doubt. And what we've talked all season on the show about the Vancouver first period overs. And if you see Chris Otto's team totals charts period by period, you'll see, I mean, it's insane how good the first period overs have been for the Vancouver Canucks. So if you're going to bet the over, I would always do that with Vancouver games. Split it between first period over and full game over.
And if it is Riddick confirmed, he's 14-5 now. The last 19, the last game just barely missed going over, but 14-5 the first period overs going back to his time with Nashville and Winnipeg in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's just, to me, I've got that feel it could be Riddick because they play in Seattle tomorrow night, Winnipeg, and they might save Hellebuck for that game. Brett, how about you? Winnipeg, Vancouver.
Exactly what you guys are saying. I think it's going to depend on the tendy. If you got Hellebuck in, he's a game changer. He's going to, shut the door. It's going to be a tight checking 0-0 low scoring game. But if you have Big Save Dave in there, he'll be twigging out. He lets one in. It could be a 4-2, 4-0 period, and the floodgates are open. So I'm going to go over. It's all going to depend on the goalie. I'm going to have to go over Vancouver on this one. No.
Leaning toward the over here. I definitely do. I like it, obviously. And keep in mind about Spencer Martin. He's played better than anybody would expect him to this season, but the last few games not nearly as sharp. He has now given up 3 or more in 4 straight starts for the Vancouver Canucks, so keep that in mind. And he's playing way more games than I think he ever thought he would, because Thatcher Demko is still on IR for the Canucks, but he's starting to come back down to earth a little bit for the Canucks in between the pipes. All right, New York Islanders, Vegas Golden Knights. We have 2 games left. Vegas minus 170, home favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the under in this game. I am going to take the New York Islanders. I am, as a road underdog, even on a back-to-back here. I'm going to take a shot here in this spot with the Islanders. Off a loss to Arizona last night, it's probably not going to sit well with them losing that game. A little shady, shockingly bad defensively in that game, giving up 5 goals. And we said it yesterday. Ilya Sorokin, kind of back down to earth, not playing nearly as well in between the pipes. Now, a lot of that, too, was the play in front of him, some breakdowns defensively by the Islanders. But I think you're going to see the New York Islanders look to try to bounce back here. I've noticed that teams, after they lose to Arizona, they've done very well the next game. That's another thing I factored in. Even Philadelphia loses to Arizona, but Philadelphia is a bad team. What did they do after they lost to Arizona? They turned around and they beat New Jersey in their next game. It's almost like there we go. See how I did that? Oh, that hurt. I shouldn't have done that so hard. Slap in the face is what it is. It's a slap in the face when you lose to Arizona. It's a wake-up call. sometimes for certain teams. And I think it could be that for the Islanders here in this spot here against Vegas, who are coming off, mini 2-game road trip where they rolled through Winnipeg and Chicago, and now they're back home. It's got that feel to it here where the New York Islanders, I think, have a shot here. And they've actually played Vegas pretty well since Vegas has come into the league. They split the 2 meetings last year. In fact, the Islanders won in Vegas last year by a score of 2-0, shut out the Golden Knights in that game. I just think here in this spot, it's the Islanders will play a good game, a better game. And I don't mind that it's Varlamov who's likely going to be in net because he's played good lately. In fact, you could say he's been a little bit better than Sorokin in the short term in between the pipes for them. Vegas coming back home off the trip. You're now playing an out-of-conference opponent here, the Islanders. Spot play for me on the Islanders. You're not getting a bad price either at plus 150. So I'm going to take a shot with the dog here. New York Islanders plus 150. Alex, what do you think here? Islanders, Golden Knights.
I kind of get where you're feeling. I'm going to take a shot here with the draw at plus 350. I think the Islanders will be fired up and ready to kind of play. And they played a tight game last night. I was really bummed out that game did not go to overtime. It felt like it was going to. It was, evened out a couple of times, but ended up Arizona getting the win there. So I think they said, that factor of, okay, we just lost to Arizona, one of the worst teams in the league. We need to bounce back right away. But Vegas is a wagon, especially at home. They keep games low and slow at T-Mobile Arena too. They've been trending heavily to the under. I could feel this being a 2-2 or 3-3 game after regulation. So at 350, I think that's great value. I'm going to go with the draw.
All right, plus 350 for the draw here for Alex with Islanders, Golden Knights. What do you think here, Brett? New York Islanders, Vegas, Golden Knights.
I think it's going to be a tight one there. Before Vegas got Bruce Cassidy in, they were a very defensive-minded team, even though, they have some guys who can put the puck in the net on forward there and stuff like that. Very offensive D. But I think with the Islanders coming in, definitely they're going to play a big defensive style. They're coached. Barry Trotz there. He's all about defense. I think it's gonna be a low-scoring game, but it's Saturday night in Vegas. I think Vegas is gonna take it on the under.
All right, there we go. Vegas and lean under as well in this one. All right, we've reached our final game, the climax of this massive Saturday card. San Jose Sharks, Los Angeles Kings. We've got the Kings minus 135, home favorites. The total 6 here, pretty much across the board in this one. This is a little tricky spot to be laying $1.55 with the Kings. If you think about it, they're back home off a very long road trip. That's concerning in my opinion, where it ended up being a pretty nice end to that road trip, getting the huge monster upset against the Boston Bruins. They won that game in a shootout by a score of 3-2. It was a good way to end a road trip that probably had more downs than ups to it for LA. And in fact, with that win, they actually finished the road trip 3-3 instead of 2-4. They beat Ottawa, they beat Montreal, and then they have the big win against Boston. But they also had ugly losses, 6-0 to Buffalo, 5-0 to Toronto, and then they had a loss against Columbus in overtime, 6-5. So an up-and-down road trip, back home off that road trip, and you only get 1 day coming back from the Eastern time zone from Boston to L.A. for this home game. This is not a spot I'm looking at the favorite. It's San Jose or pass for me in this spot. Now, do I want to take the Sharks? I don't love the Sharks, but I might sprinkle on San Jose a little bit because I will admit, they've won a couple of games in a row now. Granted, Anaheim and Arizona were the opponents in those 2 games, but they won 6-1 and 3-2 in those games. I thought James Reimer came back from a recent injury stint against Arizona and played a pretty solid game. All things considered, he had to make actually a couple real nice saves to keep that game 3-2 and hang on for the victory against Arizona. We don't know who's in net for the Kings tonight. They've been giving Phoenix Copley back-to-back starts against Buffalo and Boston. Will they keep him in net, or is this the spot they go back to Jonathan Quick, who again it's been, as someone said in the chat, Jonathan Slow, not Jonathan Quick here in recent games. It's been a real tough run for Jonathan Quick. Let's be honest. He's given up 3 goals in 6 straight starts, 11 goals allowed in his last 2 starts to the Leafs and the Blue Jackets. So he's really had a tough time. He's been fighting the puck. Part of it, though, has been the Kings' defense hasn't been great. We've talked about this for weeks. They've been playing a little sloppy, poorly defensively in their own zone. I think this is a Sharks and an over lean for me. I'm waiting to see who's in net. but I'm leaning right now to San Jose plus 135, and certainly would lean over. I'm not looking at the Kings as someone I'm looking to bet anything but over the total right now. And as far as San Jose goes, totals wise, they've gone over in 4 of their last 5 games. They're 7-3 to the over in their last 10 games. And again, earlier this year, these teams played. We saw a 5-2 game, and it also went over the total. So it would be Sharks. It would be over for me in this game if I'm betting it. Alex, what do you think here? San Jose, LA.
Yes, another double up game for me. I like the first period over 1.5, laying $1.40. I like full game over 6, laying $1.20. He said even with it doesn't matter who's going to be a net for the Kings, in my opinion. This is definitely a team, and these two teams, they're rivals. They don't like each other. The Sharks, if they get up for anybody, they're going to get up for LA. So I understand you looking at the plus 135 with them. Kings coming back home off of what's been, like I said, just up and down trip. That's a spot we like to fade as well. So if I had to play a side, it would be Sharks, but I'm just going to stick with totals. First period and full game. I think this could be a fun back and forth affair.
And by the way, long term, San Jose has owned LA, and even with LA being better last year, San Jose seemed to get the better of them. Now, LA did finally beat San Jose. Kings got the better of the Sharks back in November in San Jose. But again, from a spot and scheduling perspective, definitely an advantage for San Jose based on the way this sets up, catching the Kings off that long road trip. Not only a road trip for a West Coast team going east, but it was a long road trip, a lot of days and a lot of games. They were on the road for 6 games since December the 6th. So that's a lot of time away. Brett, we've had countless players on the show. They say the first game home off a road trip, they say distractions, family, wife, kids, bills to pay, all this shit going on. And that's a big part of the reason why these teams seem to struggle in these spots. And of course, you're beaten down physically, mentally, because of all the flying back and forth, long flights, and it wears at you. And that's why teams struggle in this spot. Do you buy into that, Brett, tonight, Kings against the Sharks?
Yeah, definitely. I think the time is a big difference. You're coming home, you're still on Eastern time zone. You're out now on the Pacific. Tonight you're staying up late, even though you've had a day, it's still going to be late. Your body isn't used to it. I know these guys are, they have the best options for sleeping, all that kind of stuff, but it's still going to affect them. You come home after a road trip, like you were saying, you see your wife and your kids and your family and stuff like that, and you basically don't get a good day of rest. You're fucking around all day, cutting the grass, doing whatever the hell you got to do to get your shit together. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. With these games, they're tough. LA, San Jose, LA, Anaheim, Arizona, all those late night 10:30, 10 p.m. Eastern games. You basically roll the dice, but with this one, I'm going to go San Jose. San Jose on the over. LA, it'll take them a couple games to get back into their home routine and stuff like that. And I think I'll go San Jose on the over.
And that's definitely the way I'm looking to bet this game. San Jose and over, just waiting to see who's going to be in between the pipes. I'd love to, hopefully Barabanov plays. I think he's played a lot better. He's played well all season, but he's been one of those glue guys for San Jose. He's made the most of his opportunities on the top 6 forward group for them. So he's questionable for this game, but hopefully he ends up playing here for the San Jose Sharks tonight in this game. But yeah, definitely they have the better spot in their favor for sure in this one. Great stuff. Unbelievable job by our special guest, Brett Pepler. We thank him.
Thank you, boys.
For joining
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah, and Alex, of course, great stuff. Great show overall. We're going to get to best bets in just a second, but a reminder, patreon.com/iceguys. Make sure that you check out our Patreon page. Our daily card is posted there each and every day. Power ratings, goalie charts, and more. Patreon.com/iceguys, $10 a month. Make sure you sign up there. And also support our other sponsor, manscaped.com, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off plus free shipping. Take advantage of that. Worldwide free shipping with the promo code IceGuys at manscaped.com. Again, great products. Since I've received them, been using them, of course. We've got the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, which takes care of that ear hair and the nose hairs. I mean, it gets becomes a problem at my age, getting into your 40s. It gets worse, not better. You want to cut that shit out. Take care of it. and manscaped.com will help you do that. So great products, great time of year too. The new year approaching, Christmas time as well. Get involved and get some of these great products that will keep you trim all over the place. Manscaped.com. There it is on the screen. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code IceGuys at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right. Best bets to wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys show. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Man, there's a lot to choose from a big card like this, but I'm going to go with that full game over 6 with San Jose and LA. That's the first thing I bet this morning, and I really like that spot. Like I said, no matter who the goalies are in that, there's some games that, any combination of the 4 goalies you give me, I like the spot, and that's the case here with this over. Also, we'll take a shot at that first period over too as well. Like I said, 6-1 last 7 meetings between these two have gone over in the first period. But for best bet purposes, Sharks Kings over 6 -120. That's the best bet for Saturday.
All right, there it is. San Jose, LA over 6. Best bet for Alex P. Smith. All right, no pressure, Brett. Your first appearance on the Ice Guys show, your first best bet on the Ice Guys show. What have you got in store for us?
Well, I got a defensive battle here, fellas. 2 good teams. Game of the night, in my opinion, it's going to be Dallas at Carolina. I'm going the under on that. There's going to be stingy D, good goaltending. It's going to be a good game, but definitely go the under. I'm kind of thinking Carolina is going to take that, but down on that one, and that is my best bet of the evening.
There we go. And under the total, and I kind of agree with that. 5.5 is the total there. Dallas, Carolina. If it's Kochetkov and Ottinger confirmed as the 2 goalies, that's got the potential to be a great matchup of 2 goalies that are going to be very good in this league for a long time. So
would that be the first 5.5 shaded to the under we've seen this year?
One of the few. And although we did have that Seattle LA game that got bet down to 5.5 and then was shaded to the under, and it only ended up being 9-8. 17 goals.
Oh, yeah.
Sharp bet of the year, Brett, when we were on the bet.
Yeah, that's wild. That game was wild,
down.
Man.
Yeah, they bet that total down from 6 to 5.5. It ended up 9-8.
Yeah.
You should have that walk of shame for anyone that bet that under that night. That's one of the worst. That's one of the worst. We always say bad bet when it's a bet that you place that's not even close. That's one of the bad bets of all time. You bet a total from 6 down to 5.5. The game ends 9-8 with 17 goals. It can't get much more wrong in terms of a wager place than that. That was insanity, that Seattle LA game a few weeks back. My best bet, I'm going to go to the desert, Arizona. Let's go over 6.5. Buffalo and Arizona, over 6.5, -115. I think that's one of the better totals on the board, in my opinion. Sabres are scoring goals in bunches. Arizona have scored 4 goals or more in all 3 home games at Mullet Arena since they got back there after the road trip. They've been lighting it up on this home ice since they've been back there the last 3 games. I think we see goals both ways. Sabres, Coyotes, over 6.5, -115 for my best bet for this Saturday card. That's a wrap. Brett, before we wrap up the show, final words from you. Thanks a lot for joining us. You were a blast. You did it. You were awesome.
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas. Anytime. Good picks. Should be a good Saturday. Get some in you and enjoy the day. And thanks for having me on.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to booze it up, watch all this shit unfold. NFL, college football, NHL, college basketball, and everything else going on. It is a slammed Saturday in the sports and sports betting world for sure. We appreciate Brett joining us. We'll have him back definitely later this season. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex P. Smith, for our special guest, Brett Pepler, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Sunday at noon Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.